All right, just give people a chance to settle. As we should, we want to welcome our guest to the streaming to Nanaimo Ladysmith NDP's EDA. But before we get to that, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our real hosts, the people of the Nanaimo, Saminas, and Saminas nations that reside within our riding and are served by the riding of Nanaimo Ladysmith. It's a significant day today for the nation of Nanaimo. A long overdue justice has been brought to that community. I'm so excited to be alive and a resident of Nanaimo as we see justice return with the land claim being returned to the nation today. 197 acres that I know the nation will just benefit from immensely, and it's a drop in the bucket compared to what colonialism took from these people. So I'm, So with that in mind, I think today and every day the NDP and I know the Nanaimo Ladysmith local EDA works hard to make sure that our practices fall in line with the teachings of the Nanaimo Nation, and that we can do our best to repair the damage of colonialism and move forward together. So with that spirit, I would like to invite our host for tonight's leadership campaign, leadership forum, Lisa Marie Barron. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Tom. Well, I'm moving the microphone down. I'm getting the cue. Here we go. Can everybody see me now? Is that better? Well, this is a full room. This is great to see everybody here on this evening here. Thank you, Tom, for acknowledging that we're here on the traditional territories of the Nanaimo First Nations. For anybody that I don't know in the room and anybody on the live stream who doesn't know, I'm the former Member of Parliament for Nanaimo Ladysmith. And it is, thank you so much, Sheila. And it's such an honor to be here. So I want to thank everybody who's here in the room. I want to point out the obvious. Some changes have been made today, and we are now live streaming. So I want to say welcome to all those from across Canada who are joining us to see the candidates that are going to be running for leader of the NDP. I want to thank all of the EDA members who volunteered their time to prepare tonight and to make sure that this evening is a success. I want to quickly acknowledge before we get started somebody that's very important in this room. It does feel very fitting that I acknowledge this today. And she doesn't know I'm going to do this. But I do want to point out that we have here Joyce Scotton. And Joyce Scotton was not only a former president of the federal NDP, but also was Tommy Douglas's campaign manager. And Joyce worked with Tommy as Member of Parliament, and today we have in the room someone who worked firsthand with Tommy to inspire Canadians across the country, and most notably to make Medicare happen. This has made positive impacts, as we all know, on each of us for generations and generations. So I hope that you could join me in giving Joyce Scotton a big round of applause. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joyce. When I look around this room, I am reaffirmed as to why I decided to become a member of the NDP many years ago. I see so many here this evening who are fighting for a world where everyone is able to make ends meet, to see housing as a basic human right, to have a fridge full of healthy, nutritious food, to be able to retire with dignity, and for a future full of opportunities for our children and grandchildren. I see so many here who are fighting for a sustainable future, where workers are not left behind, where Indigenous rights are not just upheld, but reaffirmed as vital to the health and well-being of our communities, where the ultra-rich CEOs do not keep getting richer while the rest of us work harder and longer for less. Today around this room, I see so many reasons to remain optimistic for a future where nobody is left behind. The NDP, as we all know, is the party, the People's Party. This is who we are today. The last election, as we know, I know firsthand, and we all know here in Nanaimo Ladysmith, did not go as we had hoped. We know this. But I look at the results as an opportunity to rebuild even better, to reaffirm who we are and who we are fighting for, and to remind Canadians across the country that it does not have to be this way. We can have a government that is in it for them, protecting the best interest of everyday Canadians. And this evening, we have with us candidates who have proudly and courageously, I might add, put their names forward to run for federal NDP leader. As you know, Canada is a very big country, and not all candidates could be here with us in person as a result, although I'm sure they all would have loved to. But thanks to technology and, of course, the work of Alan Felker with VITV, as well as Johnny Blakeborough on Zoom, we are able to both live stream and have candidates join us on Zoom. So thank you to all those who made the technology happen, because I would not have been able to do it without them. I also believe that we are the first across Canada, correct me if I'm wrong, to bring all of the candidates running for NDP leader together. So this is a really exciting time. There's a lot of people who are going to be listening this evening to hear from the candidates. So this is exciting that we're all here in person to meet the candidates that are here and to hear from the candidates live. Today we have with us candidates Heather McPherson, Avi Lewis, Tony McQuail, Tanille Johnston, and Rob Ashton. Please join me in welcoming them with a big round of applause. A few quick points before we get started. We are very fortunate to have all the vetted candidates here, either in person or live on Zoom today. I'd like to point out that each candidate will have 8 minutes to share with us who they are. And you know, one thing I didn't check is who's going to be our timer. Is that going to be you, Edie? Yes, that's right. Edie's going to be holding everybody to account to those 8 minutes. Thank you, Edie. And they're going to share who they are, why they're running, and their vision for the future of the NDP. Another question that I'm going to encourage the candidates to share is something that makes them unique that we probably wouldn't learn from news or social media. There's going to be no questions this evening or debate. But we do hope that everybody will get to know the candidates this evening and encourage you to send follow-up questions or comments to the candidates directly. For the candidates who are here in person, we will be having a quick 15-minute mix and mingle before the official AGM starts at 8:15, with a chance to make connections with those in the room. So with that, I'm so pleased to have each of the candidates here and for them to see the incredible, welcoming, and kind people that we have here in Nanaimo Ladysmith. And one such person is our local NDP MLA for Nanaimo Gabriola and the Minister of Social Development and Poverty Reduction, Sheila Malcolmson. I'd like to invite you up to say a few words before we get started with the candidates.
Thank you so much, Lisa Marie. Such an honor to be on Snuneymuxw territory with you tonight. I know that when Lisa Marie Barron was our Member of Parliament in Ottawa, she advocated hard to have the Liberals finally fulfill their promise that they made in, well, I first heard in 2002, I see Diane Brennan nodding, that they would transfer what we call the Department of National Defence lands back to Snuneymuxw. It took Lisa Marie advocating hard for Snuneymuxw the last 3.5 years. That it finally happened today is a testament to Lisa Marie's hard work, right? Right? And it was also transferred as an addition to reserve, which Nanaimo really wanted, also exceptional, and something that Stephen Harper, Chuck Strahl, was the Indigenous Relations Minister, quote, air quotes, who said that will never happen. Maybe you'll get the land back, he said, but you'll never have it as reserve land, and that happened today. On the provincial NDP side, we've already transferred back to Snuneymuxw 212 hectares, again on Mount Benson, Snuneymuxw calls Tetukton. So together between like the local NDP advocacy, the federal NDP advocacy, that alignment is, it's work we have to do and that we're honored to do. This is what happens when rooms full of volunteers like you elect New Democrats to get things done. We're so grateful to all of you. And then the last thing I want to say is just the moment that we are in. You know, it's you know, Nanaimo Ladysmith has had as many conservative or reform MPs as it has had NDP. You know, we never take that for granted. And this election went down in a way we did not want because of a crazy red wave. I mean, you know, here, Liberals usually finish in fourth or sometimes fifth place, and they finish second. Nothing, in retrospect, that Lisa Marie Barron or the volunteers here could have withstood that. If Laurel Collins in Victoria lost by 20,000 votes to a candidate that nobody knew until 2 days after writ drop, I mean, that was a red wave that we will never see again. And so the next election, this is an opportunity of, amazing transformation. Where is the voice of labor in our party? Where are we going to go together? And I'm thinking back to the leadership race when ultimately Ed Broadbent was elected, but it was not until 6 rounds of voting, Ed Broadbent and the late, great Rosemary Brown neck and neck. And what would have happened, what is that, 45 years ago in our country if we'd had the first Black woman leading a national party, right? So this is a people party. We are powered by people. We're working for people. People get to vote. And hands raised to the leadership of Nanaimo Ladysmith EDA that you have brought this forum to us. It's an incredible opportunity for us to listen, learn, and to shape the future of our country in this way. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you so much, Sheila. Those are wonderful words. I very much appreciate it. I want us to be able to get to our candidates. We're going to start with the candidates that are online because they're located all across Canada right now in all different time zones. So I want to make sure that we're respecting how late it is over there. I think what I'm going to do is move myself. So we've got some mixed cameras and microphones happening here, so I might need to move myself. I'm going to first check with Heather McPherson and see if she can hear me while I'm standing here. And if she can.
I absolutely can.
Oh, you can? Look at that. Heather, the room is all yours for 8 minutes if you wanted to share with us.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. I also want to thank all of the volunteers and the EDA for all of this incredible work. Lisa Marie, thank you for hosting us and being the host this evening. I miss you so much. I miss you so much in the house. And for everybody in your riding, I want you all to know just how hard Lisa Marie works for really important changes in Canada, things like electoral reform. She was tireless at fighting for that, and I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to work with you, and certainly hope I have the opportunity to work with you again. And I also want to thank everybody who took the time to come out tonight. I have to say it's very funny for me because I was last night in Newfoundland, so I literally feel like I've been coast to coast in this country now, to be as far east as we can go and as far west as we can go. And I am today coming to you on Treaty 6 territory, so I'm back home in Edmonton. I'm in my living room actually. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time telling you a little bit about myself. So I was elected in 2019. So there's been 3 elections since then, and I'm the representative for Edmonton Strathcona. I was the foreign affairs critic for the last parliament for a number of years prior to that, and have helped the parties through some very, very challenging global times, I think. In particular, I think about the genocide in Gaza. I think about the war in Ukraine. I think about how we are trying so very hard to build a peaceful future, a demilitarized, nuclear-free future for all of us, and the important voice that New Democrats have as we build that future. Prior to being elected, I was actually a teacher, and I did a lot of work around the world. I worked in sub-Saharan Africa. I worked in Latin America. On a lot of sustainable development projects, a lot of Indigenous knowledge sharing projects, and so I bring a lot of that to my work. But I also have to say that I didn't come from a political background. My family was not particularly political. I grew up in Edmonton, and my dad was a truck driver, and my mom stayed at home and raised us. And I think for me, one of the things that got me into politics was this idea of the values. So while my parents didn't talk about politics weren't something that we discussed at the kitchen table. Those values that were so important to us were things that we talked about. And my parents lived those values. And those are things like, taking care of your neighbor. And that doesn't matter if your neighbor is next door or around the world. It's things like making sure that we're lifting up our community members, that people are able to have good, family sustaining, unionized jobs, like things like that are those values that make us New Democrats that so many Canadians share. That's part of why I got into politics. And I feel now that there is this moment in time right now that is so dangerous where people don't feel welcome in our politics, where people feel excluded, where our politics are divided. We've got people like Danielle Smith in my province that love to divide, love to put down the idea of what we can build together. And for me, the reason I'm running for leader is I want to build a bigger table. I want there to be more people welcome within our party. I want us to be the party that Canadians see themselves in, because as a political party, what I want to do is elect more New Democrats. I want Lisa Marie Behrens to be a member of Parliament. I want Alistair McGregor to be a member of Parliament. I want Laurel Collins to be a member of Parliament. And I want that because I know the good that New Democrats do. I know how important it is for us to elect more New Democrats, for us, for our party, of course, but for Canadians. Because when we elect New Democrats, we get things done for Canadians. Right now we have a far-right conservative opposition, but make no mistake, we also have a conservative government. Now, Mark Carney may say he's a liberal, he may say he's progressive, but every piece of legislation he has brought forward has attacked Indigenous rights, has attacked the environment, has put at risk Canadian privacy, has put at risk Canadian human rights. And so this is a conservative, and more than ever, we need to have New Democrats in the House of Commons holding the Liberal government and holding the opposition accountable for the promises that they've made to Canadians. I'm so excited about this race. I'm so excited about the opportunities that we have to hear from all the candidates. I'm very, very proud to be part of the five of us that have joined you tonight. I'm so proud to be able to speak and share my vision for the party, but I'm also so proud to have such strong candidates from all over that are also bringing their vision forward. And I'm excited because I see what we can become. I see what the New Democratic Party can build. We can have a clean environment. We can have good jobs for everyone. We can have housing that people can actually afford to live in. We can make sure groceries are affordable, that people can pay for the food that they need, and that workers are paid what they are owed, what they are deserved. That's what we can have. We can have a healthcare system that works for every single person. And for me, that's what we're building right now. This moment in time is a moment for us to do that. And I'm excited about the opportunity for it. I think about our party and I think about some of those things that need to change. And absolutely, we need to rebuild our party. And we need to re-engage people, members across this country. We need to build our EDAs. We need to support the federal council and all of those who contribute to our party. We need to trust our members again. In Alberta, we've done, have a drink of water here. In Alberta, we've done some of that work. We used our EDA money in Edmonton Strathcona to hire a national organizer a provincial organizer that would work year round, that would work with EDAs to build capacity in our party. I think that's something that we really need to do. But the excitement I feel right now, the opportunity that I see with our New Democratic Party as I travel across the country. I've spoken to folks in Newfoundland, Halifax, Hamilton, London, Vancouver, Calgary. There are New Democrats across this country that are ready to rebuild our party, that are excited to be part of a rebuild. So let's do that. Let's come together. Let's make a bigger table. Let's invite Canadians to be part of a party that believes in the values of taking care of each other. Let's follow in the words of Tommy Douglas. Let's dream no little dream. Let's do big things together. I'm excited. I think the future for the New Democratic Party is very, very bright, and I hope you'll join in that journey with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather. I don't know if you can hear, but everybody in the room is applauding. And I just want to ask you quickly before we move on to the next person, 30 seconds to tell us something that the people in the room would not be able to find out from the media, from just general conversations. What's something unique about you?
Okay, you know what you wouldn't be able to find out, but there's something that I'm super excited about right now is that my son got accepted into university yesterday, and it is a really good feeling when you're a mom and your son gets accepted into university. So
thank you, Heather. Thanks for taking the time to share, and congratulations to your son. Very exciting. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to the next candidate. Thank you, Heather McPherson. Next up, we have Avi Lewis. Are you there, Avi?
I certainly am. I'm right here.
Excellent. Well, Avi, the floor is all yours, and everybody is eager to hear what you have to say. We're just making the screen bigger so we could see you better. There you go. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm just across here in downtown Vancouver. Sometimes I'm found on the Sunshine Coast in Half Moon Bay, where I can look across the Salish Sea at Nanaimo. So I feel a kinship there. I feel very honored to be in the presence of so many kick-ass women tonight. Lisa Marie, Heather, that was a beautiful contribution. Thank you so much for kicking us off. I've appreciated Heather's contribution so much, particularly around the genocide in Gaza as foreign affairs critic, as a Jewish person who's been standing up against the genocide. Heather, your leadership means the world to me, and I've told you that personally a few times now, I think. Sheila, thank you for being here. Joyce, holy moly, we're in the presence of matriarchs, people. This is for real. And on a day when we're actually seeing land back in action over on your side of the Salish Sea, it is a very moving moment. So I won't tell you too much about myself. I'm an outsider in a bit of a way that I didn't come to the party really until about a decade ago when I really got seriously involved. But I have deep roots in the party because it just by coincidence, my dad, Stephen Lewis, was the leader of the provincial NDP in Ontario when I was a kid in the 70s. And my grandpa, David Lewis, of course, was general secretary of the CCF from 1936 until 1950. And when I was a kid in the 70s, he was the federal leader as well. I have to be honest that I was brought up in an era of the NDP when sort of telling your personal story was not the automatic part of the political speech. And I was kind of brought up in an era when it wasn't all about the leader. It was about the politics. And I think for me, the big tent is not so much the personal story and the personal branding and the narratives that we craft with the professionals on our campaign staff. For me, the big tent is the political offer that we make, the things that we fight for. My dad in the mid-70s had a breakthrough in Ontario, and he won rent control for Ontario that lasted from 1975 until the Mike Harris era in the 90s. And I think that's the legacy that we carry on. And that's the big tent, is the things that we fought for and won, from healthcare. My grandpa, during the minority parliament in 1972 to 1974, won Petrocan from Pierre Trudeau. We had a public oil company in this country. Imagine if we had a publicly owned oil company today, how we could model getting off fossil fuels in a way that didn't throw a single worker under the bus, but actually made some of the most profitable corporations in human history finally pay to clean up their mess and pay to take care of the workers that they have been abandoning as they figure out how to automate their industry and use fewer and fewer workers to make a barrel of oil. We could have done that with a public oil company if we'd had a few more wins as the NDP. So for me in my campaign, we have a laser-like focus on the everyday emergency of just trying to get by in the most unfair economy of our lifetimes. And I think you know it in Nanaimo because apart from the red wave that Sheila was talking about, and that Lisa Marie paid the ultimate political price for, we have on the left in general, I think, kind of taken our eye off the ball. And the right has been rising. And frankly, they've eaten our lunch by leaving the everyday cost of living emergency and our unique diagnosis of why that's happening, because of massive corporate profits and price gouging and price fixing and inequality in our society, and the solutions that we can offer, which is the government actually governing and directly supporting people who are hurting at the grocery checkout when they come to pay their rent or their mortgage. We stopped talking about those things in really clear, direct ways. Maybe they would have felt radical at certain points, but I'm not scared of that label when the problems we're facing and the fascism, and let's call it what it is, that is rising, already existing in the United States, in the Oval Office, and is rising all around us. And we know in our communities here in British Columbia that the hard right is empowered, it is surging, and I believe it's because we took our eye off the ball. And that's why I am laser focused on that everyday emergency. For me, the NDP is the only party that can really offer a diagnosis of why this is happening, because we are the party that criticizes capitalism. And the old parties, the governing parties of liberals and conservatives, are afraid to say those words. And I think we need more straight talk, not message boxes and politics as usual. People are smart. People are cynical about political message crafting. And I think too many politicians talk a lot without saying anything. So I've tried to really offer clear solutions. We're all going to come out with platforms, so everybody will see in the leadership race, what the particular policies are that we all stand for. But I've come out with them early because I think it's really important. So I've been talking about a wealth tax to try to balance the scales of society, and an aggressive one on people worth $10 million and more that can raise billions of dollars for public services in our country. I've been talking about a green industrial strategy where we actually invest in public ownership in making Canadian-made appliances that are use the minimum of finite resources. Things like an electric bus revolution that we need in our country to save the auto industry, to use Canadian steel, battery technology from British Columbia, the auto industry in Ontario and Quebec, and to reconnect this country, like in the prairies where Greyhound just bailed on people in the prairie provinces, and suddenly people need a car if they want to get to their cancer appointments, and we don't have public transportation that really unites this country. We could make electric buses with Canadian raw materials, with Canadian unionized labor, under public ownership in Canada, and we could have a green industrial strategy that does things like that. And we need a public option, frankly, for every sector of our economy that is controlled by three corporations in a trench coat. We've got 3 big phone companies, we've got 5 grocery giants, we've got 5 big banks, 5 big oil companies, and they price fix and they price gouge, and that is why the cost of living is off the charts. And so I've been talking about a public option for groceries, a public ownership in the food industry. And now this proposal, which we will explore in greater detail as the campaign goes on, has already provoked a big response from the elites. On Thanksgiving Monday, the Globe and Mail devoted an entire editorial to rebutting the policy that my campaign put forward on a public option for food. This means that we're poking the bear and offering solutions that would actually threaten the wealthiest in society. And we're now having a debate about public ownership in the food system, and I'm very proud of that. If nothing else happens in the course of this campaign, we have started a conversation that I think could really lead somewhere. But we don't want to just win the argument. We want to win the change. That's what we're about. So last night we had, 2 nights ago, we had our first big organizing meeting on my campaign. We had a mass organizing call. My partner, Naomi Klein, was one of the speakers. We had an incredible union leader from Toronto who represents 30,000 inside workers in the city of Toronto. She's the president of Local 79. We had a beautiful guy named Adil Iskandar, who's a professor at SFU and deeply involved in the Free Palestine movement. We had 900 people at this organizing meeting 48 hours ago on Zoom across the country, raised almost $17,000 in a single meeting. And I think this approach is starting to resonate. I believe that we can have a massively bigger tent. We're going to do it with straight talk. We're going to do it with solutions that are as big as the problems we face. We're going to do it with an honest offer grounded in moral clarity for the people of Canada. And I think our party is going to come roaring back to relevance. And I would love it if you guys would help us out and maybe make a little contribution. We love $5, $10, $20 donations. We're building a big movement on small donations on my campaign. LewisForLeader.ca is where you can make a donation. I don't know if I can stay for the fundraising part of the night because I got to go feed my kid shortly. But that's my fundraising pitch, and that's my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Avi. Everybody in the room is applauding. Avi, 20 seconds to share something with us that we wouldn't find out through news or social media. You're on the spot. Can you hear me? Oh, no, he's gone. Avi, can you?
Oh, now we can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Avi, 20 seconds to just share something with us, if you can, that we wouldn't find
Sorry.
out.
I forgot to say this. When I was a kid, I had a terrible lateral lisp. I went to a nursery school in Scarborough, Ontario, and my teacher asked me the first time in my life that I got this question, which I've had millions of times since, oh, dinner at your place with your dad, your mom is a Toronto Star columnist. Must be so interesting having dinner at your place. And I replied, well, mostly we just talk about socialism. So that's my confession to you all. I had a severe lateral lisp when I was a kid, and the internet doesn't know that. So don't tell anybody, all right? It's just between us.
Thank you, Avi. That's great. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the last candidate that's here live on Zoom. And we have Tony McQuail. Tony, are you there? Tony, I think you might be muted. Do you want to try unmuting? Let's try you again. We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We gotcha. We gotcha now.
Okay.
The room is yours for 8 minutes.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Tony McQuail, coming to you from Meeting Place Organic Farm on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Odawa, and the Mississauga, and we do farm it with gratitude. I don't have Avi's pedigree, so I will tell you a bit about myself. I'm a parent and a grandparent. Fran and I have 2 daughters and 5 grandchildren, and to me, that's the most important thing I can do, because the most important thing we do as a species is raising the next generation. But I'm also an environmentalist, because if you destroy the environment that supports all of our lives, you're not being a good parent. And I'm progressive, because if you don't build a healthy, mutually supportive, and generous community, you aren't being a good parent. I'm an immigrant who came to Canada in the early 70s. I grew up in the United States, and as a 16-year-old, I did draft counseling at our local Quaker meeting. And I realized just how corrupt and manipulative the U.S. Selective Service, or the draft system, was, so that by the time I turned 18, I felt I couldn't cooperate and register for the draft. That carried a 2 to 5 year prison sentence and a $5,000 to $10,000 fine. Initially, I planned to go to prison, but when I realized that I'd have to be a tax resister after I got out, I decided to emigrate. So I came to Canada in the winter of 1971. I worked as a hired hand on dairy farms. And in the summer of 1972, I hitched across Canada looking at farmland, thinking about where I would settle. And in 73, I returned to the area where I'd been a hired hand and purchased a rundown farm in Huron County. I'm an ecological, regenerative, organic farmer and have been since 1976, because I'm not only concerned about peace and with people, but peace with the planet, and how we farm can have a huge impact on how we affect the environment. But I'm also an activist, a social, environmental, and political activist. And when I first came to Canada, I asked people about the political scene, and I was told the Liberals were sort of like the Democrats, and the Conservatives were sort of like the Republicans, and the NDP were kind of like the Communists. Well, I didn't want to have anything much to do with any of them, because I'd met some pretty dogmatic Marxists in my activism in the States, and I certainly didn't have much use for the Republicans or the Democrats. But because I was a social and environmental activist, I got to know New Democrats, and they weren't anything like the dogmatic communists I'd met, Marxists. So in 1980, I became a New Democrat. I was a young farmer, and Ed Broadbent made a lot of sense to me in his argument against the high interest rates the Liberals and Conservatives supported whenever they were in government. And he also was promoting renewable energy. And I ran in that 1980 election. So I'm still a New Democrat, but now I bring over 50 years of farming experience and over 45 years of experience as a rural candidate. I've been a candidate 5 times federally, 2 times provincially. I've served 3 terms elected as a school board trustee when my rural conservative constituents knew I was a New Democrat. and I served as the executive assistant of the Ontario Minister of Agriculture in the 1990s. Why am I running? I'm running because, as I told our local riding association when they celebrated our 40 years of work some time ago, I'm tired. I'm tired of the lost opportunities of not having NDP governments. And we don't have them because we've been working with a first-past-the-post system that's been defeating women and workers since they got the vote in the 1920s. And we need to figure out ways that we deal with that first-past-the-post system so it doesn't handicap us and keep the elites who've been governing since before Confederation in power. And so I'm campaigning on 4 R's: representation, regeneration, redistribution, and redesign. But representation has to be the first one. And while I believe we should be setting up a proportional system, we don't have it now. So how can we deal with that? We have to deal with it by looking at how we can cooperate with the Greens and build a broader green progressive movement that reaches out to all the people who've given up on politics and have stopped voting. But in addition, I think we need to reach out to disillusioned liberals and concerned conservatives. And I think we can do that because the liberals and conservatives are not serving their membership. They give them lip service before elections, they give them no service afterwards. Regeneration, because if we don't look after the planet, there's nothing to be progressive about. Redistribution, because we've had an economy and a political class that have been very good at concentrating wealth. We need to redistribute it, and also then redesign, because we are living way outside the environment's carrying capacity. And if we don't redesign, we are not going to be here. So my campaign is everyone has enough. And I'm not interested in fighting for you. I'm interested in working for you, or even better yet, working with you. And we need to work on healing. We need to heal the Wendigo spirit of the billionaire class. And that may require things like medicine, like a wealth tax that Avi mentioned, or closing offshore tax havens, and certainly the work to develop a distributive economy. But we've got to reach out. My website's under development. It's Tony McQuail, greenprogressive.ca. You can access some Instagram stuff on it. But we've got to work on building a community from the ground up. And that's where, when it comes to support, I'd invite you to go to the website. You can go to my nomination papers there, and you can sign everybody's nomination papers. So it doesn't mean you're voting for me. It just means you think you'd like to hear my voice on the platforms. But you can also donate there. But first and foremost, you're going to have a fundraiser tonight. Donate to your local riding association. If you want to donate to me, welcome it. But when back in the 80s, the Ontario Party was doing PAC campaigns to try and raise money from, bigger riding associations. In the rural areas, we created our own field mouse campaigns where we get the local activists from several ridings together and work on going out to the really good ridings where we got 10% and trying to find that 1 in 10 family that was voting NDP. But by doing that work, it meant that in 1990, our rural ridings in that area elected NDP members to the Ontario legislature, and the first and so far only NDP government in Ontario. So I think we have a wonderful opportunity, but we can't be focused only inward. We have to focus on the new Democrats, who will be the people who have given up on politics, because they have every reason to. The system's rigged against them, and it always promises stuff that it doesn't deliver to them. So the new Democrats and the disillusioned liberals and the concerned conservatives and all you folks who are the current new Democrats, I hope you will encourage me by reaching out at least to sign the nomination papers and support the campaign in that way. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the other candidates, because I think we've got a lot of talent coming forward, and I hope that this will create enough media that we can reach those folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tony. I love how you had your own timer there. That was great. Thank you so much. Did you want to share with us? Can you hear me okay, Tony?
Sure. Yeah, I just
One
hearing you
thing
there.
that we
My,
wouldn't hear from
uh,
the media. One thing that you can share with us that we
well,
wouldn't find
one,
out.
yep. Yeah, you won't find this on my social media, but my grandson, who's 15 years old, is a Pokemon fanatic. Not fanatic, but he's a really good enthusiast, and I have no idea what he's doing. But he won the regional championship for the junior class in Pokemon this past weekend. And I'm very, very proud of him, but I really don't necessarily understand it all.
That's great. Thank you.
Anyway,
so
thanks
much.
for your time and
That's
attention.
wonderful. I want to point out that online we've had about 55 people that have been live streaming, which is pretty impressive considering in Newfoundland and Labrador it's past midnight right now, and I think we're also conflicting with the Blue Jays game. Correct me if I'm wrong. So they're up. Oh, okay. I won't talk about it. No spoilers. No spoilers. So thank you to all those that came and spoke to us online. Feel free to stay. I'd love for you to be able to continue to be here and hear from all of the candidates. And so next up, we have right with us here in the room, Tanille Johnston. Yeah.
Wow, looking at it, it just kind of looks like a chinchilla. It's very cute. Anyways, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for the not only the acknowledgement of the territory this evening, but also the acknowledgement of the historic land back for the Nanaimo First Nation. It was amazing to see that in the news today. So thank you for being here tonight, listening to all of us candidates and participating in rebuilding our movement. A little bit about me, born and raised in Campbell River. My dad worked at the mine and my mom owned a Hallmark store, where I spent most of my time as a tiny person on a stool, working the till the best I can and refilling the cards and doing as much stock work as I was allowed to. I started my political career in student politics. I was grateful for the opportunity to go to the University of Victoria and walked into the Native Student Union and never looked back. I got the privilege of representing the NSU on the UVic Student Society Board of Directors. From there, I was enabled with the opportunity to participate in the Canadian Federation of Students, both at a federal level and at a provincial level on their executive boards, which was quite an amazing learning opportunity to be connected with other Indigenous people from all across Canada through their Indigenous caucus, as well as participate in lobbying against governments for things like the tuition freeze that you're seeing still on the forefront of the student movement across Canada. So I'm here as much to talk as I am to listen. You are the people of the party and you know what's best for us, and I believe that we are interviewing for the opportunity to be that phenomenal conduit for you into the House of Commons. It means a lot to see this room packed full of New Democrats. Showing up tonight is a demonstration of our belief that this party is turning a new leaf. Together we can create a new era, bringing power back to our grassroots and winning more of those seats in the House of Commons. I want to acknowledge the incredible work from the fellow candidates thus far in this endeavor, Tony, Heather, Avi, and Rob, all leaders in their respective fields who've kept that progressive value strong inside our party. Their presence in this race is proof that the NDP has got a lot of talent. We've got grit, we've got compassion, and we need to rebuild. This leadership race is about change and it's about renewal. Let's be real. The last federal election, as you've heard from a couple people tonight, was really hard. It was a tragic loss for many ridings, including my own, who put forward very strong candidates, really awesome policies, but were victim to that red wave that was offered earlier. For decades, Vancouver Island has been NDP territory. We were actually nicknamed the Orange Cheeto, if some may remember that, which unfortunately has now taken a new meaning, thanks to our relative there in the South, with the rise of the Trump-style politics from the Conservatives, as well as the fear-mongering Liberals, who have proven to just be red-caped Conservatives. Most of our seats flipped blue for us on Vancouver Island. Today, to date, that election wasn't based in what I would like to think is our reality on the island. It was based in fear and anxiety around what would happen if, honestly, we were under Pierre Poilievre as our leader. So not only with Trump threatening from the South, That fear drove people to vote with a place of fear. And we know that on this side of the country, our votes look a little bit different than on the East Coast. We don't play as much into that leadership as voting for Mark Carney. But that was the belief on our side of the country, and that was a really challenging strategy to come up against. I've been hearing from our longstanding members that it's time for real change that not only roots our party in that fairness, that inclusion, the progressive values, but change that will also lead us to victory. Because I don't believe that growing our movement means that we have to sacrifice our values at all. If anything, we need to dig deeper and root ourselves stronger. As the youngest candidate in this race, I hear a lot from people under 40, the students, the renters, the new parents, the gig workers, everyone that's really hustling to just pay their rent, get some food on the table, that you can easily see where the frustration comes from those generations. Inflation is breaking families, groceries, housing, the ability to afford and access childcare is beyond most folks. Forget about savings. Most of us are just fighting to stay afloat. People shouldn't have to go broke just to put that roof over their head or to put food on the table. Meanwhile, we all know that the big banks, telecom, fossil fuel companies are making record profits, and our government just keeps giving them our tax dollars. Our livelihoods, our environment, our quality of life have all gone down, and it's really hurting everybody. After decades of conservative and liberal governments helping the rich just get richer at the expense of working people, it's now time to level the playing field. We need this party, our party, to stand up, speak out, and take action on making lives better for the everyday Canadians. We have to stop the corporate greed, stop providing the handouts to folks that are just destroying our planet, our big polluters. No to pipelines like TMX and Keystone. No to corporate landlords. No to billionaires profiting off of our private data. We're finished with half measures. This is about genuine grassroots socialism in action. That means policies like national rent control, a crackdown on corporate real estate hoarding, green jobs, an immediate, robust climate action plan that gets us to that clean, green energy future. And as always, fighting for that accessible, universal health care that covers you from head to toe. That means making pharmacare, dental care, vision care, and the much-needed mental health services available for everyone, and not just those that have the benefits that enable it for them. Right now, Canada's leadership isn't progressive. I feel like that's really obvious for everyone in the room. It's ultimately conservative, hidden with a liberal-branded prime minister who made his legacy in finance not in public service. We need more of we don't need more of the same old, same old. We need a renaissance for the working class, for renters, for people who care about the climate, and for Indigenous and marginalized voices. And if you're searching for a reason to believe in the NDP again, here it is. I'm ready to lead this party into our next chapter, where we're growing and we're winning for the working class, all while rooted in our values, integrity, inclusion, inspiration. Together, we're building a movement that can win, not just on the island, not just in BC, but a new coalition that reaches across Canada from coast to coast to coast and does not leave our rural communities behind. This is an exciting moment, and I hope you're feeling the energy that we're bringing to it, because we need your help in order to grow this coalition. Choose to volunteer, choose to donate. Help us organize as a party to enable us to actually change the game for a generation, for your generation, for my generation, for my daughter's generations. Join me in the wave of change. Sign on to my nomination, sign all of our nominations, as what was offered earlier. Signing the nomination just enables everyone to have a choice. Because it's not just about providing you, the membership, with solid options for leadership, but it's about providing you those options to be able to make a choice. Lastly, I'm going to humbly ask you to donate to my leadership campaign so that I can finish this race for leader and earn your vote in March in Winnipeg. We have a big job ahead of us, but together, let's show the country that every ripple can push the tides of change. It's only with your help that we can begin our path to victory for the people. Gaila Kesla, thank you, merci, and Haichka. Oh, my thing.
That's right.
Okay,
Very
I
important,
had to think about this the entire drive. I was like, so I grew up in the area of social media, so my life is everywhere. So something that isn't so prevalent out there is that in my school years, was very separated from family. My parents actually separated when I was a teenager, and in my school era, I found lots of people that were too far away from home to get back for family, whether it was for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And we used to have this little dinner called the Family of Friends Dinner. And we would invite everyone to come and join. My sister Jess and I would use our Thrifties points to purchase all of the food and such that we needed to cook a massive dinner. We would borrow tables and chairs from all over the place, shove them into her little James Bay apartment, and we would pick a charity for that year or a not-for-profit organization, and we would ask them what they needed that specific year. And so then we would make that ask of our guests: bring gloves, bring socks, bring $5, whatever that organization needed, and then we would bundle that stuff up and we would take it and we would donate it. And that whole process of bringing that community together has always been really special for me. So that's something that's not as much out on social media.
Thank you so much, Tanille. And next up, we have in the room with us as well, Rob Ashton. Come on up.
Thanks, eh? It's a horrible angle. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I'll start my timer. Hi. Hello. My name's Rob Ashton. I'm the national president for the International Longshore Warehouse Union of Canada. We're a West Coast-based union from San Diego to Alaska, including the Hawaiian Islands. I've been president of the union for the last 10 years. I've been a union rep on the waterfront for the last 20. Longshoreman, I'm a longshoreman for 32 years. Good Lord. The number keeps getting larger.
You look great, Rob.
Thanks for lying. I never ever, I've said this 1,000 times, I never ever thought I'd be a I knew I was going to be a longshoreman. I never thought I'd be a politician. I never wanted to be a politician. No offense to politicians in here. But I had no appetite for it. I love representing my members. I love representing workers across the country and across the world, or helping them out, not representing them. But one day it happened. And the reason why it happened is because I got sick and tired of watching liberals and conservatives lie to us. I got sick and tired, especially after the last election, when Mark Carney is our country's knight in shining armor. A little C conservative. I get sick and tired watching Pierre Poilievre walking around pretending he wears work boots every day, which I don't even think he's tried a pair on in his life. And that's when I got tired of it. That's when I decided that I had to do something, that I had to put my name forward. Because I see it every day. I see what Canadians are going through every single day through my members, through members out on the line. Like this afternoon, well, today I just finished up bargaining a collective agreement for one of our locals here. And at the lunch break, I was able to go walk a picket line with Lisa. And if you want to know exactly what's going on with workers in this country, go to a picket line. See the anger, see the frustration, see the worry. Because the looks in those picketers at the BCGU, on behalf of the BCGU and the PEA, that's what every Canadian that's a part of the working class is feeling right now. We're angry, we're afraid. But over the last few years, what we've been learning is to turn that anger not where it belongs, which is the governments throughout the country that have been treating us like trash, but yet telling us they're going to lift us up, but they never do. These governments are telling us to hate people that don't look like me. That when When you don't look like me or act like me or speak like me, they're the enemy. They're the reason why our lives are the kids. Why our lives are so bad today. And it's not because of that. It's because we've been fooled, including me at times. We've been fooled by successive governments and since we colonized this land. 150, 200, 300 years ago, but if you count the Vikings, that's even further back. We've been fooled. We've been fooled to agree every time that there's a change in government that going from the Liberals to the Conservatives is a change. That ain't a change. That's handing the keys to another thief. Governments that steal from Canadians, people that built this country, that have treated Indigenous people in this land like absolute filth for generations. Instead of lifting people up, they've held people down and they've lied to us and they said, oh no, we're not treating you bad. Look at what we give you. We give you the scraps on the floor. When it comes to our friends in the LGBTQ2+ community, all it is fluff they give them. Yeah, we support you. But they don't. You see, the NDP is our party. And even I call it a party still, but we shouldn't. You see, the New Democratic Party is not a party. Every time we pretended to be a party, we've failed. And I'm done failing. The NDP is a social movement. A social movement that invites every single Canadian that isn't a millionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire under its tent. NDP is a social movement of every single working Canadian. When I say a working Canadian or a working class Canadian, I don't mean just somebody that goes to work every day. I'm talking about marginalized people. I'm talking about people that can't go to work for whatever reason. I'm talking about Indigenous people in this nation. I'm talking about members of the LGBTQ2+ community. I'm talking about people that have disabilities. That's the working class in this country. And everybody has a right and deserves to walk around with their heads held high and not told that they're less because they don't look like me. We have to be the social movement that we are. We can't be apologetic about it. We can't be apologetic about being loud for people that are quiet, that are silent for whatever reason. We can't be apologetic to helping people, lifting people up and saying, this is your time to speak. Let yourself be heard. This is our time. There is no more strategic voting. Strategic voting does nothing for us. It's been proven time and time again. This is the time when we tell all workers in this country, all members of the working class, that they have a home. That home will never turn their back on them. We will communicate with the members of our social movement until we can't communicate anymore, because that is our responsibility as representatives of the populace of this country. Not to tell people what to do in this country. Our job as representatives, as politicians, is to take the voice of the constituents to Ottawa and have them heard, have us heard. And if they don't listen, we make them listen. Because that is our responsibility as well. We can't be apologetic for being angry. As the working class in this country, we have a lot of reasons to be angry. But those reasons have to be pointed out where they belong, and that's our government. In the last dying seconds of this, people ask me about my policies and my positions on stuff. That's going to be coming out. I'm not a policy guy. I'm like, let's hit the ground running. Let's ramp people up. Let's fire people up and let their angry voices be heard. That's the type of person I am. Thank you. Oh, look at that. Oh, the story.
Right, very important.
Okay, I got one. My sister's gonna hate it. So, I'm the youngest of 3 kids. I have 2 amazing sisters. It's the only compliment I've ever given them. That's because I'm live. So, my junior sister, the middle sister, Tammy, a long time ago, I was about that big, a little bit smaller. I was a bit of a jerk, and because I was a younger brother, so you have to be. And I pissed my sisters off so much. But Tammy, one day, my mom had one of those wooden meat mallets. She used to chase me around the house with it. I will neither confirm nor deny if she hit me or not, but she broke the thing. And I went whining to my mom, and she's like, "What are you doing? You broke it." Oh, sorry. It was silent, I think. And so my mom went to whatever store she went to, and she bought a steel one. And she brought it home, and I went, "What are you doing? They chased me around the house with that thing." Mom's like, "Yeah, well, stop being a jerk, and they won't chase you around the house with it." And there you go.
Words to live by right there. Everybody, please join me in giving a big round of applause to all the candidates that for leader. It is so clear that every candidate is dedicated to building a better future for Canadians, and I personally think that it's a tough choice. There's some really, really good candidates, and so it has been so great to be able to hear from each of them. Now, nobody go away, because this is also very important. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Before I continue, I know that your schedules are very busy. I know that you're all traveling and that there's a lot of EDAs that are reaching out and asking for you to meet with them. I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you taking the time, both online and in person, to come and share with us who you are and why you're running. Yeah. So we have coming up a very brief mix and mingle where people will be able to socialize a little bit, get to know the candidates. It's only going to be 15 minutes because we do have official business that's going to be starting in our AGM. But I do want to, before you leave, I want to encourage everyone in the room to make sure that their memberships are updated. So in order to vote for the candidate for leader that you think is the best fit, you need to have a membership that's up to date. So lucky for you, we have incredible volunteers at the back table. Give a wave so that everybody knows where you are, that are here to help you if you want to find out about your membership, if you want to renew your membership. It's just $10 a year. You need to have this membership up to date by January the 28th. Is that the right date? That's right. Edie even passed me a piece of paper so I wouldn't mess it up. Where is that piece of paper here, Edie? Here we go. It's $10 a year, so make sure that your memberships are up to date. I encourage anybody that hasn't gotten a membership yet, now is the time. Get involved, become a member, and you can also be part of voting for the next federal NDP leader. I also want to give a big thank you to all the dedicated volunteers. There's so many in this room. I can't even begin to name everybody, but this just doesn't happen overnight. So many people work very hard to make sure that we're able to come together like this, and I want to thank them. There are ways that you too could also get involved, just a heads up. We have a lot of fun together. There's ways that you can get involved, from being a part of the executive, to helping to seal envelopes, to joining in parades. There's endless ways that you can get involved. So again, see a member of the EDA. The tables are usually a good place to go. Iris, there's Laura, there's lots of people that can talk to you about the fun things that we do and the ways that you can get involved. But volunteering isn't just the only way to get involved. You can also get involved by donating. So a lot of the candidates had talked about the importance of donating. It is such an important way to be able to see the progress happening from the money that you're able to give. And so with that, I'm losing my place in here. I'm sorry. 1 second. You know what? Speaking of volunteers, I'm going to call up Cam. Come on up, Cam. Cam is here. Yeah, there we go. So Cam is here to share with you how you can get involved in another way, which is through donations. There we go. I found my brain again. It's been a long day. This is another great way to get involved, which makes a big impact. We are seeing lots of positive momentum to rebuild, but rebuilding, as we all know, costs money. The great news is that 100% of donations raised this evening, and that goes into the local EDA, goes directly into local here. It stays local, it goes local, and it stays local. Yeah. And so before we end the live stream this evening, I want to encourage everybody to get involved in this important work in the best way for you. So if that looks like volunteering, join in the fun, or if it looks like donating, in the live stream, I believe we put a link in the chat that you can click on. No matter where you are across Canada, please donate to the Nanaimo Ladysmith EDA. We're doing a lot of important work here, and we can use all the help that we can get to turn this riding orange again. And so with that, I'm going to thank everybody who tuned in through the live stream, and we look forward, of course, to hearing about all the support that we get from you. So thank you so much, Alan, and I'm going to end the live stream now. Thanks, everyone.